This is Dabu7 taking a look here at this wind situation that is rolling out across this region. As you can see, the gusts anywhere from 30 to 70 miles an hour. They're saying that from this point on, Saturday afternoon into Sunday night, dangerous crosswinds, blowing dust, a high fire threat, and they're saying storm max here 90 miles per hour. As we take a look down here at this other map, it's showing us throughout northern California here from Los Angeles up past Fresno all the way up into Redding. This is the threat. Now they're saying that this threat and the outages exist all the way down and around the San Francisco Bay Area, but they're saying the Bay Area itself will not see the outages that all these other areas are going to see. So they're taking care of them. They're making sure that that area is going to stay up and running, but all the rest of everyone else is getting put in the dark, so to speak, in patchy blotches here and there, and that could last through Monday. I put out a separate video on that, but these are the regions right here that stand to be at the greatest risk of fire connected to all this stuff going on. I wanted to make people aware of it and let them know that there is a force here that's driving some of these fires. Now, how they're getting sparked, a whole nother story. But wind, no doubt, an underlying factor. Anytime you have fires, anytime one begins and you've got wind, it's just going to fuel it. This isn't good for the fires that are already going, like the Kincaid and the Tick fire, that have spread and that they've been battling for some time. So even though they've knocked back some areas, it seems like as soon as they get that done, something pops up in another. The wind isn't going to help things. So if we see things start to get out of control going into early next week, this is going to be a main factor in spreading that fire. Once again, what's sparking them, debatable. We've talked about that in separate videos. I'll continue to talk about that in these upcoming live streams. Make sure to join us over
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahawah, barak the yahawashi, bahasham, quadash, barak atham. So, a note, I am going to be moving very shortly here, so my time on the screencast may decrease, and by the time I no longer have this place, I may not even be on the screencast automatic for a while, meaning that, I won't be able to read news reports, but I can certainly pull up the camera phone and then record, so, that's a give or take, because I have to find another place to stay, so pray out for me, that I find another place, because by December 1st, I will no longer be at this place anymore, and I will have to find a place to live. Pretty much Esau has sold this place, and now, they want me out. You can never trust a fucking realtor, especially if that be an Edomite. They'll say one thing, oh, you can stay. This is what happened to me. They said, oh, okay, well, you just pay the rent to us. Oh, I'm sorry, we got to kick you out after 3 days, after I thought I was going to be paying the rent to them. So, we already know that this man's the devil, this man's a liar. Now, what's going on is you may not be able to hear it in the background, but high gust winds are actually happening here in Redding with these false flag events, aka HAARP events. We know that Esau is controlling the weather. He does have weather machines, because how else would PG&E be able to do this? And they're going to do this on a regular basis. We already know we got the Tick fire and a few other fires going on that Esau has created himself. We know that these atomic energy weapons that PG&E uses under the guise of preventing wildfires, that they're the ones that are starting the fires, just like they did with the car fire. That's been a Rothschild plan all along to burn California. Of course, because, we know that the end is near, man. It's just, we know that that was always the plan, you know. Because, of course, it's a very heavy populated state. So these Amalekites, they're safe in San Francisco. But in the meantime, everybody else is catching hell with no power. You know, this fucking, events that Esau's controlling, man. You know, and we're going to see more like this, man. We knew that the beginning of this couple weeks ago, that they're going to continue doing this. So that's what's going on. Chris Green already reported on this, so I'll go ahead and forward those videos as well in this one. But just a lot of things happening. I'm having to pack up, find a place to live, moving in all my shit into storage as usual. And, obviously I have to stay with somebody else until I can get another place. So again, prayers up, and I do have the information. I think I will post that in this video as to, if you want to help, I'll give you my PayPal address, email, or, you can contact me if you wanted to help. If not, I totally understand, man. We all got our lots to fill, but definitely having a residence is very important. It's very important for this to continue, because otherwise, if I'm in somebody else's place, it's just like another brother put, man, if your house is not in order, they could tear up your signs and everything because you're not living under your own roof anymore. And that's what's about to happen here. I can only stay here up until November 30, and I have to leave. It's a 60-day notice, so why pay for the December month, but I will pay for the November month, giving myself 5 weeks to move. Just, this devil, man, he's coming down hard, having great wrath. And we know why. The time is short, so we know that things are popping off. We're going to see more HAARP events like this. We're going to see more wildfires like there's bigger things than the car fire and the tick fire. We know Esau has plans. And we know that the Most High is using Esau to come down on the wicked and the two-thirds that are joined unto Esau. So anyhow, I'm going to switch over to the screencast while I still got it, while I was still am using this computer. But like I said, my time on the screencast, well, I may not even be on the screencast for much longer. So I'll just be, forwarding videos and using this camera to comment in between videos, trying to set up some sort of structure, or at least being on there, maybe holding up a Bible and reading from the nap, kind of like I do on the streets anyways, using like a secondary phone, maybe reading from it. I'll do what I can, got to deal with what you got, man, So, on to other things, and we'll look at these reports, shall we?
This is Dabu7. We have a lot of upset residents in California once again as PG&E is going forward with this second planned power shutoff, and it begins right now. For those on the West Coast, as of 2 p.m., this whole thing goes into motion. They're saying that this is going to be spread out over 36 counties. About 940,000 customers, and don't get that confused with people. They're saying that the number of people will be over 2 million affected by this. This is lasting into Monday. This is something that residents there are shaking their head about because people have lived there for decades. We've got some people close to us in the inner crew that live out there and have been out there ever since they were little, experienced all the big earthquakes and all that stuff, the big one that hit the Bay Area. They've never seen any kind of shutoffs like this before, and fires like this connected to the electric company itself that says that it's bankrupt and broke. How can that be? Can you imagine all the money they've been taking in off of everyone all these years? How can you be broke? Sounds to me like the money's sitting somewhere in an offshore account or something somewhere. You know how these goons play. Anyway, this whole thing stinks to high heaven. The whole thing going on out here with these power shutoffs on the people and these fires. The fires are a real deal concern. But how they're all getting kicked up and the manner in which all this is going down is just suspicious. It's raising a lot of red flags, and people just flat out not happy that out of nowhere, time and time again, they're in the dark. This time through Monday. Can you imagine what that's going to start to do to business and everything else? This is the latest, guys. Hey
everybody, Christopher Green. This is an emergency update warning. This is a special alert. Residents of California, just like we predicted last week, 2 million were without power intentionally as a result of the PG&E shutdown. And as millions of people reported, there wasn't even any wind. And there was speculation that the fires might, in fact, have been started by PG&E themselves. Follow that by this week, 500,000 people in both Northern California. Notice all the power is on for the elites, all the billionaires, all the major cities. Everything is fine in San Francisco. And this is affecting not just NorCal, but Southern California. Now, breaking live, October 26, 2019, PG&E will cut power to up to 1 million Americans in California. This is the most serious blackout and alleged weather event we have seen in history and in recent memory. Now, of course, we've been warning at AMTV for several weeks now, get out of California. They're running drills. What does the local and federal government know that they're not releasing to the American public? Again, Chad and I did some very big reports here just yesterday talking about the potential arrests coming to the Democratic Party as a result of Trump stating plainly for the world to see that Barack Obama and the radical Democrats have been committing treason, not just against the president, the White House, the democratic process, but the constitutional republic itself and the American people. This is a very, very serious situation. And now, in combination with the blackouts last week and the blackouts earlier this week, we now have close to 5 million people that have been without power over the last few days. The weekend outage is the second major shutoff by PG&E this month after the company 2 weeks ago cut power to nearly 2 million people to avoid fires, alleged fires. Of course, we reported that and debunked it, sparked by its electricity lines. Los Angeles County and Sonoma County have been under a state of emergency. So you hear it there. These are not my words. This is CNBC.com. A state of emergency has been declared in the failing cesspool state that is California. The Kincaid fire that started on Wednesday night in NorCal, Sonoma County, prompted officials to evacuate about 2,200 people as of Friday and has destroyed 25,455 acres in Los Angeles County. The tick fire, and by the way, many of you have sent us reports of DUMBs. Many of you have sent us reports that they are finding children in underground tunnels. And this harkens back to the conspiracy that makes up the Jeffrey Epstein story. Of course, a CIA honeypot asset who was blackmailing world leaders from Prince Andrew to others, who was working for Western-backed intelligence and who is either still alive in witness protection program and by the way, tens of thousands of people have been put into the witness protection program. Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire working for intelligence assets, there would be a high likelihood he is in witness protection program. And if you don't believe that, was murdered by the deep state in a 24/7 high-level security solitary confinement prison with cameras, yet they have no footage. Now, also interestingly to note about this, the burial of Jeffrey Epstein, the capstone in the mausoleum where he was buried, they removed his name so you don't know where he is. Probably so no forensics can be done. I talked about this extensively. We wanted to see the body because it's fake, it's a lie, and it's a cover-up. More importantly, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, who have been accused by the President of the United States, think about this gravity, of committing treason, would have motive to cover up the fake death of Jeffrey Epstein. Now we have mass rolling blackouts. I've talked about what are the elites planning? Could this potentially or possibly be an invasion that the U.S. government and the deep state know is imminent? To harken back to the days of Pearl Harbor prior to the embargo that caused the attack and then led us into World War II. Pastor Pat Robertson even warned over the last few days that Donald Trump, willingly or unwillingly, maybe he doesn't even realize what he's doing, could be starting World War III. It reminds him, the 90-year-old, of the words that Neville Chamberlain claimed, saying that there was peace in the world prior to the rise of Nazi Germany and the outbreak of war. Now we have rolling blackouts, more shutdowns, hospitals going dark, respirators failing, people dying and sitting by candlelight, almost in a vigil in California, as the entire state literally burns. I've been urging you for weeks, months, years to flee California like the Black Plague. Flee the fiery pit of the fire and brimstone and the judgment from God. This is Christopher Green, AMTV, Alternative Media Television. We will keep you posted. Please share this. Get the truth out. Tell your friends and family. Again, I'm not making any of this stuff up. I'm looking at a CNBC.com article. Nearly 5 million people have been without power. We had rolling blackouts in New York City about a month or two ago. Something big is going on. Something the elites are prepping for. This is a drill. Just like they ran a drill of nuclear-armed ICBMs coming in to hit Hawaii not too long ago, where text messages were sent by the president to hunker down and prepare for impact. This, in my opinion, is also a drill. Again, remember, Hitler burned down the Reichstag building and blamed it on the Jews. If you trust your government, you're flatly an idiot. And I would not, and certainly not, trust yours.
Apostle Harkman back at you with the truth, giving all praises to yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, rawcha, quadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, "And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." And this is from Revelation, the 17th chapter and the 16th verse, which says, "And the 10 horns, which is the EU, which thou sawest upon the beast," the beast represents NATO, which the U.S. is part of NATO, but it represents also the woman that sat upon the scarlet-colored beast. These shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, before I go into this subject, I want to say this, and I notice, and I'm pretty sure other men, from the apostles on down to the prophets, the teachers, the priests, anyone that's a part of GMS, and even extended to the other camps, if they watch our videos, what I've noticed, and other brothers have noticed, that these Christians are beginning to go into the Greek, the Hebrew. They're beginning to really open up the book and reading the book. What a normal Christian does, they go to a church, they listen to what the pastor says, and then they go home. They really don't understand the scriptures. You know, if you stop a Christian coming out of a church, it depends on what denomination, and you ask them certain questions concerning the scriptures, they're going to be lost, especially if you go into prophecy, because churches do not go into prophecy unless it's a church that's base their scriptures on, just base their knowledge on the whole book, but they go heavily into prophecy. You have churches like that. You have Edomites that, like the stuff that we teach, you have Edomites that teach pretty much the same thing. There's a handful of so-called Edomites that believe that Babylon the Great is America. All you got to do is Google it, and you'll have certain pastors that come up. One pastor that comes to mind, or a leader from the Prophecy Club, is Stan Johnson, and he comes straight out and says, and I did a video on it, that Babylon the Great is America. But he got some prayer warriors together to try to save Babylon. First of all, the scriptures don't say to save Babylon. The scriptures in the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, it speaks about hastening the day. So this place can't go down quick enough. This motherfucker should have went down last year. Anyway, let me deal with the subject here. And I'm gonna try to make this quick. You do these quick hits, hit the point and move on to the next one. Okay, it says, and if I remember, I'll leave the link in the description box. Oh, it's called Street Mit. And this was put up, I believe that was 2 years ago. Doesn't give you the date, but it says 2 years ago. Anyway, it says the U.S. is at war with Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran, Russia, all to protect the petrodollar. Now, you know what I'm going to do? It kind of gives you the definition of the petrodollar, but I want to go to Google and see what it says concerning the petrodollar, so that you can understand when I read the rest of this article, you can understand. Okay, the quick definition. The petrodollar is any U.S. dollar paid to oil exporting countries, which is it should be oil producing exporting countries, which that's where you get the acronym OPEC, oil producing exporting countries. You ever watch the news and said the meeting of the members of OPEC got together for a summit or a meeting? It says, let me read again. The petrodollar is any U.S. dollar paid to oil exporting countries in exchange for oil. Since the dollar is a global currency since around 1945, I believe that was under the Bretton Woods Conference, all international transactions are priced in dollars. So that's the world money. So if you have, let's say you have Venezuela, Russia buying oil from Venezuela, they have to take their rubles, convert it into U.S. dollars, and the world knows that what the Federal Reserve is doing through the Treasury and through the printing press and the Federal Reserve Bank, because the Federal Reserve Bank is a bank of issue that issues money to these banks that you go to, these commercial banks that you go to, and what they do is they pump money in the form of paper money and digital money to these other banks. And what happens is it weakens the dollar, and you get a thing called inflation. Then you get a thing called hyperinflation if there's too many dollars, put into the system, so to speak, put into circulation. Now that happened during the time of before Hitler came into power, during the time of the Weimar Republic. You had a thing called hyperinflation, where you would go to a restaurant and they would have a menu, but they wouldn't have prices on it, because as you're eating the food, by the time the food might be $1,000 for a steak or whatever, and potatoes. Then at the end of the meal, it might go up another $300, another $1,000, and that's hyperinflation. That also happened in Zimbabwe. It's the same formula. And people don't understand the money system. Anyway, it says since the dollar is a global currency, all international, and that shows you who's in power, who's in the power seat. The one that has the money. So even though you have ruples, you deal with ruples in Russia, rupees in India, what is it? The Chinese dollar is the yuan, I believe it is. The yuan, then you have yen, then you have the Tokyo dollar, the Japanese dollar, then you have the franc, then you have the sterling, then you have the pound in England, then you have the peso in the Latin countries like Mexico. So anytime they buy oil from another country or oil producing country, they have to convert their money into Federal Reserve notes. And like I said, they know that the money's not worth anything. So this is what keeps the Federal Reserve note on top. Now, once these nations start to say we're no longer going to deal with the dollar, then this place is going to go down. This place is going down. It says as a result, there was a video on RT News dealing with the same subject. The nations are no longer using the petrodollar or the U.S. dollar or the Federal Reserve note. You know, in order for you to understand prophecy and understand the scriptures, prophetic wise, you have to understand how the money system works. It says, as a result, oil exporting nations must receive dollars. So now let me go to the article. It said the U.S. is at war with Iraq, Libya. Now you should know why the U.S. is at war with these nations. And then you also got to read Ezekiel 38. We're in the time of Ezekiel 38. It says the U.S. is at war with Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran, Russia. Now it says of Gog and Magog, Meshach and Tubal. It says that they're going to be a guard unto these nations, these European nations and these African and Middle Eastern nations, because Iran is biblically Persia, which they're Elamites, all to protect the petrodollar. So what enforces the fact that you got to deal with the petrodollar? Their military. Okay, I'm gonna read down. It says the U.S. dollar currently makes up 2/3 of the world's global reserve currency. That's why America or the U.S. is still on top, because of the global reserve dollar or the petrodollar. This is because nearly every oil exporting country, which is OPEC, oil producing exporting country in the world, exclusively sells their oil in US dollars, the petrodollar. And I just said that they would convert their money into US dollars or Federal Reserve notes. So nations are forced to hoard large amounts of US. So they got to keep buying these, whether they like it or not. They got to convert their money into dollars. So they're forced to deal with the Federal Reserve note, allowing the U.S. to print it, not just print, but make it come to pass, creating out of thin air in the form of paper dollars and digital dollars. It says to print it, like when you get a credit card, right? You get a credit card, they give you a credit card, you got a $10,000 limit. Well, that's money out of thin air. And it only becomes dollars is when you use it. If you don't use a card, they don't make any money from it. Like I got this one card years ago, and this was back in 2005 or whatever. It was a $10,000 limit, and I never used it. And you know what they did? They sent me a letter maybe 3-4 years later. We closing your account, because they were mad because I didn't use it. Because once you use it, you got to pay the interest, which at that time the interest that they gave me, I think, was 8%, which was decent, you know. But they lied and said it was going to be like 7%, but it was 8.5%. So I said, fuck it, I ain't going to use it, and they basically just closed my account, because they want you to use that money out of thin air so that they can get the initial payment back plus interest. That's how they make money. And who said this? Jeff Barak of what was this? The Dollar Vigilante. You should watch him. He's pretty good. Does pretty good YouTube videos, and he goes into the money. And he always says that people don't understand how the money system works. If people understood how the money system worked, they raise bloody hell. Anyway, let me read on. It says, so nations are forced to hoard large amounts of U.S. dollars. So they must have U.S. dollars to do business when it comes to oil, allowing the U.S. to print it. And this is why the electric car only goes so far. Back in the 70s, they came out with the first electric car, and basically the oil people, I'll say, they basically bought out from GM, and because GM came out with the first electric car, they basically gave them money to not build those cars, and then no one could buy that car. What they did, it was on lease, and they can take the car back whenever they wanted. So when they got all that money, they said, okay, no, we're going to scrap the whole electrical thing. So here, now in the future, 2019, 2018, 2015, the electrical car has come back, but you don't see too many electrical cars out there. You see some. And the leaders or the oil producing countries, but mainly the U.S. Countries and the Federal Reserve and the U.S., they want to keep it that way. They don't want no electrical cars to come out. They don't want there was one individual that it was said that he made a car that all you got to do is put water in there, and that's the fuel for the car, and that guy was wound up getting put to death. Then there was somebody, I think it was a French designer, that made a car that ran over the atmosphere, the air that you breathe, that made the car go, and he was found dead. So they'll kill you if you mess with their money. It says allowing you let somebody mess with your money, you want to kill that person. You know, it says allowing the U.S. to print it almost to infinity without hyperinflating their currency. But you know what's going to cause hyperinflation? When major nations no longer deal with the petrodollar, and it's going to cause inflation, which they're going to go to war. The U.S. government has been doing everything it can to protect their petrodollar status around the world, around the globe. Excuse me. How did this all come about? It says the Saudi connection in 1974, OPEC, which is an oil producing, exporting countries, nations, halted the sale of oil to the U.S. due to its support for Israel, and that, the least of them shall draw them out, Jeremiah 49. With all those Arab countries, they have a hatred for the Israeli government. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother video. It says in the Yom Kippur War. Now let me go to let me look up the Yom Kippur, which is means atonement. Okay, Yom Kippur War, the Yom Kippur War, Ramadan War, or October War, also known as the 1973 Arab-Israeli War. And I remember when I was in school when this happened. It was all in the news. Was a war fought from October 6th to the 25th, October 25th, 1973, by a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt, and Syria against Israel. So they're always been odds against the Israeli government. It says result: Israeli military victory, political gains for Egypt and Israel, 1978 Camp David Accords. And that's when they used to have those meetings. They would have to come to Camp David in the U.S. And it's really over money and oil. So now let me come back to this. It says the Saudi connection in 74, OPEC nations halted the sale of oil to the United States due to its support for Israel in the Yom Kippur war. Oh, and by the way, October, that was during the time period of the atonement, Yom Kippur. This resulted in quadrupling oil prices. Now that's when the price, I remember as a child when I was like 12, 13, in elementary school, they had the long, you can only get gas if your license plate, certain days ended on an even number on the last number of your license plate. Day you couldn't get gas, and then on the day that you can get gas, there were long gas lines. And I remember when the gas was regular gas was that's when you had leaded. Regular gas was like 35 cents a gallon. Then it shot up to, I believe it was $2, but people had to pay it. They had no choice. And this is why this happened over that war. And then eventually it dropped back down to about 89 cents, or 79, 89, 99 cents a gallon. So people were like happy all over again because the prices had dropped. And then, through the years, the prices went up from $1.05 to $1.25 to $1. And I remember when it went up to $1.25, people were like, this is ridiculous, this is too high. Man, if you find a gas station that's selling gas for $1.35, you're gonna hop. You're gonna do a backflip on that car to go to the gas station and get that gas. Anyway, and it also has something to do with the dollar being weak as well. And when I mean weak, it takes you about $20, almost $20 to buy a troy ounce of silver. A silver eagle, back when you had the gold and silver standard, you would take out $1 note, which is a what do you call it? It would be a silver certificate. You can buy a dollar's worth of silver, which was 1 ounce. So you get the idea. Everything, real money is based upon gold and silver, by the way. That's why I did a video on, and you also watch that video. I did it maybe a year ago. Watch that video and start getting silver and gold. And silver, I call silver the poor man's gold. Because you can, with $20, you can buy 1 troy ounce of gold. If you can say, I'm gonna buy 5 pieces of gold every 2 weeks. Well, you do that for a year. You got a 5 pieces of silver every 2 weeks. It'll build up, or every week. It says because people don't believe that's real money. Real money is not Federal Reserve notes. Real money is silver and gold. That's why Russia and China, they're hoarding a lot of gold, because they know that that's real money. It says this resulted in quadrupling oil prices almost overnight. I remember overnight the gas prices shot up. It says inflation skyrocketed and the stock market crashed, causing the U.S. economy to nosedive. And I remember all of that. It says U.S. President Richard Nixon ended up fixing the dilemma by setting up an agreement with Saudi Arabia. The U.S. would buy oil from Saudi Arabia, protect them militarily, and I even did a video on this too, and even sell them military aid and equipment, helping the military industrial complex in the U.S. So they made money from war. War is profitable. There's about 40 wars going on right now on the planet, which the mainstream media doesn't tell you about. So you don't know. They only pick and choose what war they're going to focus on. It says in the U.S. in return, the Saudis will buy billions of dollars worth of U.S. treasuries, which are really Federal Reserve notes, to help finance America's spending habits. Yeah, because America has a bad habit with spending, especially the middle working class. They always buying shit that they don't need. That's what the movie the Fight Club was all about. The guy had an alter ego, and in the beginning of that movie, that was a great movie. He was saying how he was buying all this shit, but his alter ego said this is you just wasting fucking money. Anyway, it says history. You get a chance to watch that movie. Great movie, starring this guy Ed Norton and what's this guy Brad Pitt. A great movie. It says history dictates how the U.S. government and their allies have been protecting the West's financial dominance through the petrodollar ever since. Now let me read this. It says Iraq and the euro. In 2001, I remember this too very well. Iraq switched from the petrodollar. And began on. I mentioned Saudi Arabia. America is always going to protect Saudi Arabia because they made that pact during the time of Nixon. It says in 2001, Iraq switched from the petrodollar and began selling their oil in euros. This is what that war was all about. This is why they said, that Saddam Hussein was behind the downing of the World Trade Center, and that he had WMDs, which is what is that? Weapons of mass destruction, acronym. It says soon after sanctions were placed on them, followed by an invasion with massive destruction to their infrastructure. And when you checked it out in the news, they were blowing up bridges, they were blowing up buildings. Because when you blow up bridges and buildings and roads, it's going to take years to build that back up. It said the Bush administration galvanized support. This is the time of Baby Bush. Galvanized support for the invasion with lies about supposed WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, that Saddam was going to use on either his own people or Israel. So it goes back. This all stemmed from the Yom Kippur War. It says, and I'm getting to the scriptures, don't worry. It says this came a little more than a decade after U.S. Assisted Saddam with chemical weapons. The U.S. assisted Saddam Hussein with chemical weapons because they said that he used chemical weapons to kill his own people. But where did he get those? Let's say he did that. Where did he get the chemical weapon from? He got it from the U.S. And sophisticated military equipment as well as strategic supports so he could fight Iran. Why? Because the U.S. was supplying Iraq with weapons to fight against Iran. That's why ultimately this war is going to start. The center point is going to be in the Middle East, in the Levant. Over the least of them shall draw them out, which is Israel, and there's going to be something to do with Iran, Iraq, and these Arab nations, and Saudi Arabia, where the U.S. has to come in, and then Germany has to come in, and Russia has to come in, and that's where that war is going to take place pursuant to Revelation, Ezekiel 38 and Revelation 20 verse 7 on down. They went up to the breadth of the earth and encamped camp of the saints. Anyway, it says Libya and the golden dinar. It says in 1996 and 2000, a leader of oil-rich Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, had initially indicated the idea of a gold-backed African currency. He found there to be many African and Muslim nations interested in the idea. So they were going to use a gold based currency. They're going to actually use gold and silver. So now if they use gold and silver, they're not using the petrodollar. It goes on to say he began amassing large amounts of gold and silver. That's what the Chinese are doing now. That's what the Russians are doing now. And that's where, I don't know how many nations, India is big in, there's one guy that I get gas from. He showed me pictures of the gold that his family had back in Israel and India. They save gold. India saves gold. China, Russia. So Muammar Gaddafi said we're going to deal with real money. And real money goes back from the beginning of time. When you read about Abraham, I think it's Genesis the 13th chapter, it said he was rich in gold and in silver and in cattle. It says he began amassing large amounts of gold and silver to the tune of 144 tons of gold and a similar amount of silver. When you read the Constitution tells you that real money is gold and silver. That's in Article 1. It says this is half of. Doesn't say anything about a Federal Reserve note, or paper money. It said this is half of what the UK possesses. This is half of what the UK possesses in gold, but Libya has 1/10 the population of the UK. So it was quite substantial. I didn't want to read more, but I guess I have to. It says in 2009, I remember this, Muammar Gaddafi was the president of the African Union. He proposed the African states shift to a new gold dinar that was actually made from physical gold. So that's true. That's real money, true money. Many of these interested nations were using the French franc circulating as a prime African currency. But if they were using the French franc in order for them to trade oil, they would have to convert it to the US dollar, the Federal Reserve note. You know what? I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close on this, and I'm gonna remember to leave this in the description box, so you can read the rest of it. But this is interesting reading right here. It's stuff that we already know or should know. Anyway, the title is the U.S. is at war with Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran, Russia, all to protect the petrodollar. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the scriptures. The first scripture is Jeremiah 51 verse 7. See, at one time these nations trusted the U.S., and now they don't trust the U.S. And it's all behind the money and the oil. And what props the U.S. up is the fact that you have a thing called a petrodollar. And I explained what a petrodollar was. If you forgot, go to the beginning of the video. All right? You should know all of this. And this is how we know that everything that's going on, especially in the between the U.S. and the Middle East and Israel and Egypt and Syria and Turkey coming against the Kurds in Syria, all this been spoken about in the scriptures prophetically. And we here at Israel, mainly at GMS, we goes in when it comes to these prophecies, man. And these so-called Christians, they've been watching it so much, but now they're beginning to believe us. They say, you know what, man, these guys got a point. And like I said in a previous video, all these guys are growing beards now. This guy, Vocab Malone, he's got a full beard. He was playing when he grew a little goatee, then he cut it off, then he was smooth faced. Now he's got a full beard. I wonder why. Dr. James White has a full beard. I remember years ago, back in the late 80s, early 90s, we used to speak right on 42nd Street and between Broadway and 7th, and there was this Edomite, but he could have been a Jake. And he used to always come again. He was basically the vocab of that back then. And he used to always come and battle us by himself, right? But we were cool with him, right? Like if there was like, you have a guy that would sell ices, so we'd get ices. And then we would offer him, we said, you want an icy, man? And he would kind of look like, God damn, these guys are kind of cool and shit. And we used to always get on that guy about growing a beard. And then one day he came, we didn't see him for a month, and he came out, he had a full beard. So I said, why you got a beard? He said, because you guys are right. You gotta have a beard. The guy had a full beard, you know. But now that I think about him, he had to be a Jake, but he looked like an Edomite. But back then, if you as a mafia would say, if he look white, he's white. Anyway, it says Jeremiah 51 verse 7, Babylon, which is America, have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Now, ancient Babylon didn't make all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, which is her philosophies. Therefore, the nations are mad. They tried Babylon's way. They don't like it. Doesn't work. So now they're mad. So they're going to do something about it. So now let me go to Obadiah 1. So we're in the scriptures now. Obadiah 1. Obadiah 1. Here we go. And I'm running late. I want to do a run, but the spirit jumped on me. Anyway, it says Obadiah 1 verse 1. The vision of Obadiah that saith the Yahawah concerning Edom, the Edomites. This is future prophecy. This right here proves that Obadiah, the book of Obadiah, proves that Esau is still around. Esau is in the power seat. So we have heard the rumor of the Lord, and ambassador is sent among the heathen, the other nations. Rise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. And this is happening again. War cries. Behold, I have made thee small among the nations. Thou art greatly despised, greatly hated. Let me look up the word small. Okay, the word there is katan. Katan. Oh wow. One word that comes up, the last word is unimportant. Unimportant. Insignificant. So I have made thee small among the nations, meaning the nations are beginning to look down on you. Isaiah the 14th chapter, is this the man that they're going to look? Matter of fact, let me get that. Let me not talk about it. Let me go ahead and get it. We ain't getting it. We already got it. It's an inside joke. Anyway, Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14. Okay, bear with me for a minute. Okay, let me start up a couple of verses. The key point is in the 16th verse. Okay, 13. Isaiah 14 verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into the heaven. Who have ascended? Who's famous for ascending into the heavens? Esau, Kitty Hawk, the Wright brothers. You know, they came up with flight. Then from flight, they had sophisticated planes. How to have fighter jets and helicopters and blimps. and shuttles and rockets. Who set up the satellites up there? Who supposedly went up to the moon? That's Esau. That's this man. It tells you that in Obadiah. We go back to Obadiah. It says, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven," and that's a literal heaven. Let me prove that. Let's see what it says. I want to be fair. You go ahead and read that scripture. Anyway, heavens. The word heaven, as I suspected, Shemayim. Shemayim means the Mayim means water or waters, and Shah makes it like pertaining to the waters, so you can Now, what does it say? It says heaven, heavens, sky. When you look up into the sky, what do you see? You see the sun, you see the moon, you see the stars, and you see planes. Visible heavens as abode of the stars, because they have satellites as a visible universe. When you look up into the heavens, you see the visible universe, atmosphere, heavens. Not the heavens of heavens. You have the heavens and the heavens of heavens. So now let's go back. Sometimes it's good to go to these root words, which is Shemayim. It says, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will," Obadiah 1, "I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High," above the stars of the Most High, that's space. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. Congregation means flock. It says the flock with the flock. The flock is Israel. The flock of my pastor are men. It says in the sides of the north. Where we in the north? We're in the western hemisphere in the north. When you go to the Americas, the north, you have America, you have Canada, and then you have that's where Babylon is, and then above Babylon you have Canada. It says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." What does it say in Ezekiel the 28th chapter? It says they will be like the Most High. "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell," hell meaning the grave, lower state, "to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look," going back to the word small. "The nations shall look at you as small," meaning insignificant. That's why they have these agreements, these compacts, contracts. The BRICS nation, for example, it says the 16th verse, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. They're going to look at you sideways like you're nothing, you're insignificant. And that's what's happening. And consider, he's saying, is this the man, Esau, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof? Didn't I just read that? When they wanted to come against Iraq, they destroyed the infrastructure. That opened not the house of the prisoners. Who are the prisoners? Israel. What's the prison? Right here in America and anywhere we are around the world. It says, "All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house." So, we're going to put these nations in order. We're not going to beat them down like you did, but we're going to beat you down. But we're going to be over these other nations. They're going to get kicked in the ass. They're going to feel that they're going to feel that foot up in the ass when they get out of the line. Anyway, it says, "All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house." Because we're going to do good to the nations, but they're going to be under us. Like I said, if they're out of the line, we're going to kick them in the ass. We're going to kick them in the ass in the beginning to get them motherfuckers in line. But we're going to teach them the laws. So ultimately, you know, this Christians say, well, the Gentiles are going to come in, but they're going to come in under us because we're going to be the priests over them. You see how all this comes together? It says, but thou art cast out of, this is Esau, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the remnant of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, talking about Esau, that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden underfoot. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people, the seed of evildoers. Who's the seed of evildoers? That's the seed that goes back to the woman in Genesis 3. Thy seed and her seed. There shall be enmity between thy seed and her seed. And how did this seed, the evil seed, come about? It came about through Eve, and then later it came about through Rebekah, Jacob and Esau. Same seed that came out of Adam, which came out of Isaac, but there were twins, and the Most High put an evil spirit in the one seed and a righteous spirit in the others, and the other. So now let's go back to Obadiah. See, I wanted to make this short, but you know how the spirit works. It says, behold, it says, I have made thee small meaning insignificant, to look at you like you nothing, disrespect you, fuck you. Among the heathens and the other nations, thou art greatly despised. The word despised means hated. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks. Methathawah, which is the big brother, the Benjaminite brother from HODC, he did a video which I was getting into. He actually went to Mount Seir. He went to Petra, and he was walking around, and you see that structure, that Romanized structure, and it was surrounded. Anywhere you go, it was nothing but mountains. It was nothing but mountains, man. It says, thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rocks, and then you made replicas of the cliffs of the rocks through your skyscrapers, through your buildings. You know, man-made mountains whose habitation, and you like to climb the mountains. How many Jakes you know climb mountains, man? Name me one nigga that climbs a mountain. Esau loves climbing. They love being on the mountain. They love climbing the mountain. We're going to climb up to the top of Mount Everest. 5 of our people have died because of the snow and the wind, and a couple of people caught pneumonia, but we made it to the top of the mountain. That's you Edomites, man. That's you Edomites. It says, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That's your pride. It says, we're going to get to the point. Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, the symbol of America is the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, you went up in the stars. Look up into the sky, the shadows, the rocket program that went up to the moon, the satellites. Who put them up there? Esau. All right. Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. It says, and you've been going down since the 70s, to put a year on it. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, who art thou? How art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Now that's talking about the Most High. He's going to take it all. He's going to destroy all. You're not going to leave one Edomite left. It says, how are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Everything he does is hidden. Conspiracy, Illuminati, the elite, this shadow government. 7th verse. All the men of thy confederacy. Now the word confederacy means agreement. The word there, let me give you the word in the Hebrew. What is it? Bara'ash. Let me go to it. It's talking about your allies. When one nation becomes an ally to another nation, they have a contract, agreement, a covenant, a compact. Anyways, the word there is bara'ath. like Britain, Great Britain. Britain is British, Barath Ayash, British covenant man, because you had Israelites ruling Great Britain at that time. Damn, I can't see, this thing is acting up. Anyway, it says covenant, alliance, allies, pledge between men, treaty, constitution, agreement, pledge, friendship, marriage, but alliance, covenant maker. So all the men of your confederacy, your allies, that's your Arab allies, your allies among Esau, they're all going to come against you. It says all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee to, even to the border. The men that were at peace with you, your allies with thee, have deceived thee, because you give out a lot of aid. This guy Trump, he still gives out a lot of aid. All right, you can still get the Obama phone. All right, if you go to certain areas in the city, you have a small table and they'll give you an Obama phone. It's not an Obama phone no more. It's a Trump phone. Oh, and food stamps, you still got 40 plus million people on food stamps, and they called Obama the food stamp president. Well, wouldn't Trump be the food stamp president too? Oh, your Obamacare is still in effect under the Trump administration. So what did this man change? Anyway, what policies did he turn around that go back to Obama? And prevail against thee, they that eat thy bread in the form of aid, have, back in the day we used to call it bread. Let me throw me some bread. That's back in the 60s, man. It says have laid a wound under thee, there is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahawah, even destroy the wise man out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end, that every one of the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. And that's ultimately going to happen. That's ultimately going to happen. But did it take place already? No, it did not take place. So now let's go to Revelation 19 verse 2. I'm going to try to move quick here. Revelation 19 and 2. I wanted to go out there, I want to do my morning run. It's going to be an afternoon run, and I want to go out on the road and make a couple of dollars, but that ain't going to work. You know, maybe I'll get my run in. But the spirit stormed me, so I gotta follow the spirit. Revelation 19 verse 1. And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Alleluia, salvation and glory, and honor, and power unto the Most High, Yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he have judged the great whore. So this is the aftermath. This is John seeing the destruction when the smoke is going up, which did so he actually saw the war of Armageddon. He actually saw World War III. He actually saw it come to pass. This is which did corrupt the earth. Who corrupted the earth? The whore, America, through its policies, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication. What is her fornication? Her system, her philosophy, her ways, her democracy. All these nations, major nations, they all have seats in the UN. And anyone that comes to represents that particular nation, they have to be a part of a democratically elected government. And where did they get that the democracy from, that system from, they got it from America. All right? It says, we read that in Jeremiah. Therefore, the nation's mad. They tried your ways, they didn't like it, and they're mad now. You see, it's a corrupt way. It says, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication. Let me look up the word corrupt. Let me look up the word corrupt. And stop asking me, what does this mean, brother? And motherfucker, look it up. Look it up. Even Tommy Sotomayor said, look it up, nigga. Well, let me look for the word. Do the research, man. That's how you grow on this thing. That's why some of you guys do not grow, because you don't exercise your mind, your spirit. Here we go, corrupt. Let's look up the word corrupt. Oh, this thing with transsexuals and homosexuality and passing laws for the LGBTQ XYZ community, that's all part of their fornication. It says to corrupt and destroy. In the opinion of the Jews, the temple was corrupted or destroyed when anyone defiled. It was defiled 2 times. During the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes or Antiochus IV, and during the time of the Vespasian dynasty, Vespasian and his son Titus. It says in the slightest degree damage anything in it, or if its a guardian neglect their duties to lead away a Christian church, Israelite church, that is from the state of knowledge, blah blah blah, to destroy, to perish, to an ethical, in an ethical sense, to corrupt, deprive. So morally, ethically, you can't be a homosexual. And they might take this video down just because I said that. But that's part of your corruption. Okay, now let me go back to let me read the second verse again. Revelation 19 verse 2. And true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which is America, which did corrupt. And these Christians see it. They see it now. They say, you know what, these Hebrew Israelites, they know their prophecies, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication. We looked at the word fornication, also means to corrupt, and have avenged the blood of his servants, and at her hand. So we are the servants of the Lord. Okay, let me go to the next one. And Revelation, I don't know if anybody did a full breakdown on Revelation 19, but if you don't have nothing to go into, you can break down Revelation 19. Okay, let's go to Revelation 14 verse 8. Trying to move fast now. Revelation verse 14. Revelation, we're in the time of Revelation. We're in the time of Daniel all over again. Revelation 14 verse 8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon, which is America, is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Fornication. Porna'ah. Illicit sexual intercourse. When 2 nations get together, they normally say that this nation, that nation are in bed with each other. You know, that doesn't mean that they're actually having physically sex. It says adultery, fornication, homosexuality. So fornicate. So what did they do? They push the world to, you can, you know, and this is around the world. You have homosexuality all around the world, except for maybe some Arab nations. But they may be doing, we don't know. They may be doing it secretly or not. We don't know. It says lesbianism. Okay, this goes under the the word fornication, intercourse with animals, sexual intercourse with close relatives, or sexual intercourse with it says sexual intercourse with close relatives. This is for you Christians. Since you said the law is done away with, can you have sex with can a man have sex with his sister? Because that's in the law. You said the law was done away with. We can only go by the laws that our Lord, or what you call Christ, set down. The Lord didn't say it's not okay to do this. So can you do that? It's a sexual intercourse with a divorced man or woman, which is adultery. The worship of idols. Okay, they have a show called American Idol, of the defilement of idolatry as incurred by eating the sacrifices offered to idols. The fornication is your system, your wicked, evil system. And that's what the petrodollar was all about, to prop up the dollar, to keep America propped up. And you back it up by your military. Okay, Revelation 18 verses 1 to 4. Revelation 18 verses 1 to 4. It said, let me double check that. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having a great power, and the earth was lightened with her glory, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now High Priest Ariat said that's talking about when Esau got in. He's that unclean and hateful bird. He's a foul spirit. He's a devil. No, it's talking about these animal desert-like creatures. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. We went through what fornication means, and the LGBTQ community fits that. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. They went to bed with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. For I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people," and that's when that's Matthew's 24th chapter, when the Lord comes back with the angels, and they're going to cover the skies from one end of heaven to the other, and they shall deliver the elect of Israel. That's what it's talking about. The angel is going to say, "Come up," because the ships are going to come and beam us up. My people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. And what are her plagues? Let me go to that real quick. This is one of her main plagues. Bear with me for a minute. Let me do it this way. Let me try it this way. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And that's only could be talking about the radiation from these ICBM missiles. The first time I heard this was from a man, a so-called Edomite, because he looks like an Edomite, Hal Lindsey, in a movie called The Late Great Planet Earth. That should be on YouTube. You watch the movie. It's a good movie. And I saw that when I was 16, 17 years old. Show you that I was into the scriptures back then. I always been in the scriptures, just like Apostle Gabar said. He always been in the scriptures. We've always been connected to the scriptures. Okay, it says, Revelation 18 verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her a double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much, 7 verse, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And I think about what comes to mind is Psalms 49 and 11. What also comes to mind is Isaiah, Isaiah 47 verse 1 on down. So now let's go back. I believe we got one more scripture. Yeah, we got one more scripture. Okay, Revelation 17 verse 16. I might read a couple of verses above that. Started at 12th verse. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. Now there are 28, 29 kings or nations, which is the EU, European Union nations. That was established by a meeting called the Treaty of Rome. It says, which had received no kingdom as of yet, but received a power as kings 1 hour with the beast. 1 hour with the Most High is like 42 years. So they're living on borrowed time. It says, these shall have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. The beast we know is NATO. These shall make war with the Lamb. The Lamb is yahawashi, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Those that are with him, he's coming with the angels, and he's going to deliver the elect, which are the called, the chosen, and the faithful. It says, and he saith unto them, the waters which thou sawest, where who sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, because this is called a great melting pot. It says, and the 10 horns, which is an EU, which are in alliance with the NATO nations, which some of the NATO nations, EU nations, are part of NATO. It says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which is America, Babylon the Great, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What is the fire? The fire are these ICBM missiles that they're going to shoot upon her. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom. I went a little long, but that's all right. That's the spirit. With that, it's on to the next one. Shalom.
Shalom, giving all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, bahasham, quadash. That's the name of the Most High, is Yahawah. The name of His only begotten Son is yahawashi. In the name of the Holy Spirit, double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation as always to the elect, the tabernacle of David, as well as the large multitude, rest of the men, women, and children whom the Lord will have mercy on. All right, that body makes up the remnant, which is getting ready to be delivered, all right, and glorified, man. And as you can see, the accuser of our brethren is at work, the serpent, as the scriptures call him. He's getting ready to be cast down, and he's moving with great wrath, and he's basically pushing a race war. Now, a lot of these articles that we bring out, we understand that it's propaganda, all right, but these things will all be used to force a race war, because Esau Edom knows that that's his blessing. All right, he knows if he can lure you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans into a race war, all right, that he has the blessing of the sword. All right, and if you get carnal he's justified in ultimately obliterating you. So what he's going to do is force, all right, false narratives and use what he does, do what he does best, use witchcraft, sleight of hand, deceit, trickery, all right. One of the things we say is that Esau Edom will pull a statistic out of his ass when he's on the ropes, and in times past, everybody would just fall for it, but we're living in a time where the nations, all right, are starting to consider him. Our people are even starting to consider him, but it starts with the prophets, man. All right, we have the goods on the fugitive, man. Okay, he's getting ready to be locked up, and we have the sentence. Okay, we have the testimony that's going to lead to him, all right, being locked up and ultimately getting his sentence, which is 1,000 years of hardcore captivity, all right, and then ultimately being obliterated off of the planet Earth. That's according to biblical prophecy. That's prophecy. That's not something we're just making up, all right. But as you can see, the title of this article is 51% of mass shooters in 2019 were black. It's basically the narrative that he's going to push, man. All right, because now he's being called out. Now he's being considered as an actual terrorist, which he's been a terrorist. Now he's going to shift blame and deflect to you so-called Negroes, which is what he always does. That's why the scriptures calls him the accuser of our brethren, man. Showing you the scriptures are on point, man. He puts you in a category, man. All right. And he's been able to use the color white as a covering cast, all right, to spread witchcraft and to trick people into believing that he's actually the good guy. Okay. But it's not going to work, and he's not going to get out of the judgment that's coming to him. All right. Now, as we always say, our people do a hell of a lot of wickedness, man. But what our people do, all right, is basically a small representation of what you Edomites do worldwide, man. Okay. And people are starting to see that Donald Trump's message, all right, against the so-called Mexican, all right, is leading to a lot of these so-called white supremacists going out and inflicting, all right, bringing the pain, all right, and using the sword, okay, to do a lot of wickedness, man, on what they call Muslims. Because as we say, when it's a Muslim, okay, the shooter can be tied to the whole religion. All right, even though we're not down with Islam or Muslims, okay, that's a false religion, all right, that has nothing to do with the scriptures. Okay, when it's a so-called Negro that does shooting, okay, it could be tied to the race. When it's a so-called Mexican, they're murderers, they're this, they're thieves, they're rapists. All right, that's what Trump calls them. But when it's the so-called white man, okay, you notice we can never tie these acts to that particular race, although going into history, we can clearly see a repetitive behavior of mass murders and mass shooters, all right, and sexual deviance and all sorts of things that are linked to these people, man. Pedophilia, all right, but yet no label has been put on them. All right. And that is all a part of prophecy, because the scripture said he would be revealed in his time. Now, reading this article, it says around the same time that the media was focused on the mass shootings of El Paso, which were done by white supremacists. All right. One of them wrote a manifesto. 60 people were shot in Chicago. All right. He always brings up Chicago, man. OK, which our people do wickedness. All right. However, who's to say that all of these shootings were by so-called Negroes? Okay, the 60 shootings and no other race. All right, no white, so-called white man, nobody else had anything to do with it, man. The police didn't have anything to do with it, because we know they're mass murderers going around the planet Earth, especially in Jake's neighborhood, all right, doing wickedness. That's the judgment of the Lord. But at the end of the day, like we say, what our people do in the community, in their communities, is just a small representation of what you do on a large scale, man. You are the mass murderer, man. And his witchcraft. And we know that these articles, a lot of them are propaganda, because Esau Edom is trying to force a race war with you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He's pushing it in his media. This is his agenda. He wants a race war. Okay, there's going to be a race war, because he understands that he has the blessing of the sword. And he understands that if he can get you to get carnal, or use people that are in his back pocket, like the Black Panthers. Those are groups that are in his back pocket. They walk around with guns. You have particular Israelite groups walking around with guns, in all of this madness, which if you think you're going to beat the so-called white man at that game, then go ahead and try it. Okay? Go ahead and try it, man. You know, our faith is in a higher power coming and delivering us out of this devil's hands, man. Okay? We don't teach that we're going to get the victory by the sword. All right? When you read the book of Maccabees, as a matter of fact, let's get 2 Maccabees 15 real quick. Okay? 2 Maccabees 15. And you got particular men who hear that and say, we're suckers, we're scared. You people are crazy, man. All right, this is 2 Maccabees chapter victory coming not by arms. Let me see, I believe it's in this chapter. Let's see here. Yep, this is 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and 21. It says, Maccabeus, seeing the coming of the multitude and the diverse preparations of armor and fierceness of the beast, stretched out his hand towards heaven and called upon the Lord that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms. Okay? But even as it seemeth good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy. So we're fighting to be worthy to receive that victory, which is not going to come, all right, by anything carnal, anything of this world, man. All right. Now, having a registered weapon, all right, is not wicked according to the scriptures. All right. But that's just not what we put our faith in, man. And me, myself, I don't deal with guns. OK, so the victory ain't going to come by arms, man. OK, the victory is going to come because when you look at the position that our forefathers were in the time of Maccabees, or at the time of the Assyrian Empire, when the Lord delivered us out of the hands of Sennacherib. OK, it was always more of them than it was of us. But the Lord worked a mighty wonder. That's what's going to happen for the elect. And that's what we have our faith in, man. But Esau, Edom, all right, his faith is in what? His sword, man. Okay, as the Psalms say, I will not trust in my bow, man. Okay, 51% of mass shooters in 2019 were black. Now, that's what I want to get into. We'll get into some of this article. All right. But I want to get into this black-white narrative that he pushes constantly, man. And I want to show you that this is all witchcraft, man. If you look at what Esau Edom is doing, all right, with all of this propaganda, all right, it's clear to see where he's going with it, man. Now, let me get a scripture real quick. All right. This is Genesis 3 and 1. It says, now the serpent, now when you get the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and 9, it says, and then the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. Okay, now that's speaking of Esau Edom. All right, but he's known as that old serpent, man, because he carries the vibration and spirit of the serpent. All right, now when you look up the word serpent, okay, it's ophis. All right, now it says with the ancients, meaning our forefathers, the serpent was an emblem of cunning and wisdom. You see that? Cunning wisdom. The serpent who deceived Eve was regarded to the Jews as the devil, okay, and Satan. And when you read 2 Thessalonians 2, okay, it says he who cometh, all right, to do the bidding of Satan, man. A particular nation is accompanied or synonymous with Satan on the earth, and that's Esau Edom, man. All right, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And this is what's getting ready to happen, all right, to this devil. He's getting ready to be cast out, man. But going back to Genesis chapter 3 and 1, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the field, which the Lord God had made. Okay, now when you look up, let's look up this word subtle real quick. It's arawam. Now that can be in righteousness, but it can also be in wickedness, man. All right, it says arawam. All right, subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. Prudent in what? Wickedness. Okay, the serpent was very, very crafty in wickedness. And the word serpent, All right, it's nachash. All right, but when you look up the root word, okay, it's to practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience. Okay, observe, practice fortune telling, take as an omen, to practice divination. Okay, basically a witch, man. So this man is a high level witch, and through deceit and witchcraft and through this black and white narrative, he's been able to push a narrative and put you so-called Negroes in a box, man. But that's getting ready to be destroyed, and he's not going to prosper in that agenda, man. But you can clearly see what he's doing. This is Isaiah 25:70. He will destroy in this mountain, okay? And this mountain is Babylon the Great, man. The NATO, the EU, the beast system, the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations, okay? He will swallow up death in victory, and this is speaking of salvation. And Esau is as death, man. Esau is the end of the world, so the victory is going to come through the Lord taking down Esau, Edom, as the scriptures say. And the Lord God will wipe away the tears from all faces, and all the rebuke of his people shall he take away from all the earth, for the Lord hath spoken it. Okay, so this is speaking of salvation, but it says he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. Okay, and that's the deception, man. And a lot of the deception has to do with this color white. In 1681, as the beloved elder Malcolm brought out in 1681, all right, he put that label of white on himself, man. Okay, and his scientists took hold to that, and they started to put the label of black on us and these different colors and things like that, man. Okay, now the color white is purity, innocence, wholeness, and completion, which is why people up until recently haven't looked at this man as a terrorist, which is why everything he's done is pretty much forgiven or swept under the rug. Why? Because he put this term white on him. People don't see him as evil or wicked because of that term white. That was a heavy, heavy deal of witchcraft, because Esau understands the psychology of color, man. All right, psychology, all right, mind, psychology is the study of the mind. Esau, Edom has studied particular things. As the scriptures say, the heart is deep. Okay, their minds are deep in wickedness to search out particular things, all right, that are meant for good, all right, but ultimately use witchcraft and sleight of hand to fool people into their agenda, man. Okay, Psalm 64:5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who seeth them? Okay, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, okay, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep, man. Okay, so they search out things, man. Esau, Edom is always searching out things, man, in ways to deceive, man. Everything he does, every move he's making, and every move he has made is filled with witchcraft, man, or a separate agenda than what he's putting forward, man. We're going to show you, man. Okay. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow, and suddenly they shall be wounded. All right. So shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. So people are starting to consider this bastard, man. Okay. He's making their own tongue to fall upon themselves. Even other Edomites are now cursing out Esau, Edom, man, for their racism and bullshit, man. Okay. All men, it says, they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. So people are starting to consider this man. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. All right. And people are starting to consider that this man was set up to be the wicked, man. But for so long, there's been a covering cast over all of the people because of this color white, man, this term white that he put on himself, man. Okay, now it says the color white is color at its most complete and pure. See that? The color of perfection. All right. Psychological meaning of white is purity, innocence, wholeness, and completion. In color psychology, all right, white is the color of new beginnings, the wiping of a clean a slate clean. This is why people are always forgiving this man. You see, that one term white, all right, allowed him to forward himself in a way that you would never believe through just that color, man, that term white. Because the true white people at the end of the day is yahawashi, all right, and the angels and the elect. Okay, because white represents purity, man. You see, that's why the scriptures say wisdom make it your face to shine, man. Okay, when you read Revelation, the 19th chapter, when it's speaking of yahawashi and the angels in the heavens, okay, let's read it. Yep, verse 14, it says, verse 13, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven, the angels, followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, all right, white and clean. You see that? Pure. Okay? But they have, through witchcraft, been able to turn things upside down and place that label upon themselves, man. Okay? Now it says, in color psychology, white is the color of new beginnings. Okay, purity, goodness. So there's a vibration that comes with color. Okay, now color psychology, does it affect how you feel? Absolutely, man. And Esau Edom knows this. This is why particular colors are always on particular fast food chains. Esau Edom knows this, man. Smells, colors, and things. All right, vibrations, music, all of these things affect you, man, affect the psyche, man. And they were put here for the purpose of good, but Esau Edom has taken all of these things, including music, color, and put them out there and use them for wickedness, man. And the biggest mass deception that he's used is putting the term white on himself, man. Okay, but now prophecy is being fulfilled and people are starting to consider him, and we'll get into all of that. It says, do you feel anxious in a yellow room? Does the color blue make you feel calm and relaxed? Artists and interior designers have long believed that color can dramatically affect moods, feelings, and emotions. Colors like at a wedding, the woman is supposed to be a virgin. Okay, so she wears white, man. All right, which these women, all right, should wear. I don't know what they should wear these days, but they wear white because in times past it will represent their purity, right? It says colors like features follow the changes of emotions. The artist Pablo Picasso once remarked. Okay, they tapped into that, man. It says color is a powerful communication tool and can be used to signal action, influence mood, and even influence psychological reactions. Certain colors have been associated with increased blood pressure, increased metabolism, and eye strain, man. Okay, and here you go. Color psychology. Black is what? Evil and unhappiness, while white is purity and innocence, man. Okay? Now, red is usually danger, but they got it here as red, love, excitement, okay, which it can be that too. But there you go. And it goes into the science of it, all right? In 1666, the man of sin, 666, all right, which is a sign of this man system, man. 666 is everywhere, man. English scientist Sir Isaac Newton discovered that when pure white light passes through a prism, it separates into all of the visible colors. Newton also found that each color is made up of a single wavelength and cannot be separated any further into other colors. All right, then it goes into it, but there's a psychology, okay, that goes with particular colors, man. Okay, there's a vibration that they push off, man. Okay, white represents purity or innocence. So this is a part of the covering cast that has been cast over all people, man. Okay, you go to black, Okay. I'll just get to the point. Black is intimidating, unfriendly, and unapproachable because of the power it exudes. And that term was put on us as a race, man, as a nation. All right. Who wants to go into a room that's completely black? Nobody. You will want some light in that room, right? Who wants to walk in complete darkness, man? Okay, but they have put this on you, and you have taken it and accepted it as a culture. So anytime they put this word blackout, okay, people usually accept it and be like, ah, see, niggas, thugs. But see, now people are starting to consider this man, so he has to come with this type of propaganda. And we always say this man pulls a statistic out of his ass when he's on the ropes. And even when they come up to the camp, sometimes you getting on them and you starting to cut them, but they'll come with a statistic out of no goddamn where. And he's so much of a witch, you'll start to consider it. But now that we know this devil, all right, we're starting to see how he operates, and it's no longer working, man. That's why the scriptures say, stand now with thine enchantments. This is nothing more than an enchantment. Okay. And they're using all of this to push forth their narrative. This is all a plot and ploy. Don't believe that Esau Edom does not understand what he's doing with all of this. But ultimately, it's the Heavenly Father, man. Yahawah through his son, yahawashi, and the holy angels, man. Now, this demon, Ivanka Trump, which is the daughter of Donald Trump, she had a tweet. Now, let's read this tweet real quick. And then we'll get into some scriptures. Let's look at her tweet. Now, she had these two tweets. It says, this is Trump's daughter. And like I said, all of this is being used for a purpose, man. It says, as we grieve over the evil mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton, let us not overlook that Chicago experienced its deadliest weekend of the year. Okay, so the accuser of the brethren, okay, he is that old serpent, man. This whole nation of people are programmed to be against you. Although there's propaganda, the proof is in the pudding, man. Okay, so they're deflecting and putting the blame on you, man. Okay, God damn, man. So people are starting to consider these Edomite supremacists and these terrorists that all happen to be so-called white men shooting up churches, just doing all sorts of massacring. And what do? Try to put the shift back on you niggas, man. Okay, it says, with 7 dead and 52 wounded near a playground in the Windy City and Little Nash. Let's read this again. With 7 dead and 52 wounded near a playground in the Windy City and little national outrage or media coverage, we mustn't become numb to the violence faced by inner city communities every day. Inner city meaning where you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are, man. So they understand that people are starting to consider them. They understand that the covering cast is getting cast down, man, and the Lord is getting ready to judge them. They understand what's happening. They understand they can no longer hide. So things like this are going to be pushed out. But what does Esau do? He uses this, all right, as a opportunity to push more witchcraft, man. Okay, now you have this dyke, who's the mayor of Chicago, okay, who basically exploded over Ivanka Trump's tweets, all right, which is witchcraft. It's witchcraft, man, because it's going to have you niggas looking to a dyke, all right, as someone that you should listen to, man. See, the devil works in everything, man. First daughter tries to keep relationship intact, seeks event in Chicago, all right. It says White House official told the Sun-Times Wednesday her chief staff phoned City Hall and his daughter and the daughter wants to work with Chicago. We are hopeful that Mayor Lightfoot is a catalyst for the city's change. So this is just the opportunity and a purpose to promote more and more witchcraft, man. Okay, after Ivanka Trump's tweets about violence in Chicago sparked an angry response from Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who's a dyke, Okay, look at that madness, man. Okay. It says the daughter of top advisor to the president tried to limit the damage by offering an olive branch to keep a new relationship intact, man. This is all witchcraft and bullshit, man. Okay, to keep you niggas and confused and sleep, because Esau Edom has to keep confusion amongst you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and mainly amongst you so-called Negroes, because he knows that you are the head tribe, man. And in prophecy, it's going to be you who's going to raise up in these latter days, all right, to lead the pack. So he has to keep you in a confused state. Okay, and when someone is confused, they can be easily led in the wrong direction. All right. It's just easy. That's why Esau makes it a point to confuse you in your media, in your entertainment, in your music, in your food, because all of these things, all right, work on your psyche or your mind, man. Okay, and I'm not gonna read, the full article, but you see the witchcraft that is being done, man. And I'll put the articles in post-production if I remember. All right, and Lord willing, you can read that, man. Okay, but this is all bullshit, man. And you Edomites are the devil and you are our enemies. All right. And excuse my language. All right. This is Micah chapter 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and that work evil upon their beds. Now your beds is synonymous with your rest. This is Esau Edom's rest. Okay. As it says in Psalms 149, let the saints, all right, praise the Most High upon their beds. Meaning we're going to be in our kingdom with a two-edged sword in our hand. All right. It says when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. So they have the power of the media. They have the power to pay off particular people, to push particular narratives. They have the power to constantly put confusion in you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans' face, man. They have the power to put people in front of you and make it seem as though they're there to help you, but they're there to destroy you, man. Okay. They have that power, man. So the scripture says woe, which means destruction, man. Woe to these type of people. Let's look up the word woe in the Hebrew. All right. Hawaii. All right. Hawaii. Alas. Woe. See what the root word is. Okay. Alas. Meaning destruction, man. Meaning woeful times, hard times are coming to you Edomites, man. Okay. It says, and they covet fields, meaning they steal lands, man, and take them by violence. Who's this describing? See, a nigga breaks into a house, which is wicked, but you break into a whole goddamn country. Then you blow everybody up, okay, and justify it by using pseudoscience, man. Pseudoscience, man. And through your pseudoscience, you've been able to promote the narrative that we are wild beasts, man. But we're going to see if that holds up in these latter days, man. Okay. They take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. You oppress people's heritage, man. You don't, you go to these particular places, you take over the news stations, you take over the newspaper, you take over the media. You get the true history of that people and hide it. Okay. Then you promote lies into them and tell them they're a color, or tell them they're this and tell them they're that, man. And anyone who bucks up against that agenda, you label them a terrorist. But meanwhile, you're able to react to 9/11, which something you set up, and go over to another country and bomb and destroy people in acts of revenge. But we can't even stand on a street corner or make a video about your stupid red asses, man. It says, so they oppress a man, and you're really red, man. You're really red. Okay. Now red, okay, one of the psychologies of the color red is warning. So you're a warning sign, man. You're like we got to consider you, man. We need to stop and look at your ass, man, and proceed with caution, man. Okay, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, here's the point. Against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks. You're not going to be able to remove your necks. Okay, you're not going to be able to just blame niggas and you get away. You're not going to be able to sweep your history under the rug, because the scriptures say in Revelation 18, your sins have reached unto the heavens and the Lord has looked down upon your proud times. As a matter of fact, let's get 2nd Esdras 11, man. Oh, let's get 2nd Esdras 11 and 15, man. All right. In 8, it says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, all right, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise themselves, man. And see, they're getting ready to formulate a whole plan, which a lot of niggas are going to die because of this. They're going to trick the world in believing that they are on the defense and everybody else is on the offense. And you so-called Negroes are actually a threat to them, when in true essence, our people are in complete order around you. You're just mad that we're now addressing your bullshit, but there's no pack of niggas going around the planet Earth killing and shooting so-called white people, man. But you so-called white people damn sure have been doing that to this day, all right? You have a history of mass murdering amongst the tribes of Israel, man. So the Lord is no longer gonna hold his tongue as touching your wickedness, which is why we're there, okay? Which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Therefore, and we're the souls of the just, man, Lord willing. All right? And if we're not, whoever else are the elect are going to be raised up. Okay? And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me the innocent blood from among them. So the Lord, don't worry, brothers. All of these things are scare tactics, and they understand, all right, the mind of you so-called Negroes. They know that you're ready to forgive them. They want you to love them. They understand how forgiving and nice you are, but the Lord is going to put a spirit on us, man. All of the tribes, man. We've been nothing but forgiving and loving to you so-called white people, man. The so-called Negro means me more harm than he means you. We the ones that got to worry about these niggas, not you. When you come around, they change their voice. Our women get all nice. You know, they think they see God, man. But he's going to promote that you're actually after his ass, man. in that race war, all right, he's going to get a lot of Jake, but ultimately the Lord is going to lift up a standard and you're going to lose, man. All right. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, man. Okay, I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Babylon the Great is getting ready to be destroyed, man. You got this damn demon Trump in office talking about he's going to make America great again. Well, how was America made great? Through rape, robbery, and murder of the so-called natives, man. Seminoles and the so-called Mexicans, man. Okay, which are Israelites. They were speaking Hebrew. This is why Christopher Columbus had a Hebrew interpreter when he came over here, man. This is why it's so much Hebrew relics that were over here, and it's undeniable, man. Those are Israelites. Okay, but this whole campaign that Trump has been on is leading to you so-called white people losing your goddamn mind and having a sense of pride, because for years you were trying to hide who you really were, but Trump has given you a new sense of pride, and now they're setting up shit like this to where his daughter meets up with a dyke who's your mayor in Chicago. Well, Esau uses Chicago to do a lot of wickedness, man. There's a lot of chemical warfare, psychological warfare. And where are all of these guns coming from? Oh, man. So let's read this again, man. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Micah 2:3. Behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks. Neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil, man. As the scriptures say, the prudent shall keep silent in that day. Because this is the evil that I believe, what's that in Amos? Let's see. Maybe a precept. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure it's a precept. That's the perfect. Bam. Amos chapter 5 and 13. Therefore, the prudent shall keep silence in that time. All right, because the Lord is going to eventually cut this word off, for it is an evil time. This is that evil time that the Lord spoke of, man. So you're not going to go heartily. See, Esau usually can put the blame on someone else. And you notice all of this is happening, and Epstein has pretty much been swept under the rug. You don't hear about him no more. You see, because there's some big names involved in that whole Epstein, all right, pedophile ring case. But what's happening? All of this has all of a sudden put itself out on the forefront. You got R. Kelly being brought up on new charges. This dude ASAP Rock was freed. So all of this confusion has been thrown out as a sleight of hand, all right, to cover up what's really going on amongst Esau, Edom, because they are being exposed. But this time you're not going to get away, man. In that day shall one take up a parable against you. This is what's happening, man. People are considering your monkey ass, man. In a lament cry with a doleful lamentation, man. Listen with this word doleful. I'll never look that up. All right. Nahayah. All right. Nahayah. Wailing, lament, lamentation, a mourning song. Now you're the song. People are considering you so-called white people, you Edomites, man. And it's about that time, man. Because everything you've done, people have pretty much forgiven you. Let's get an example of that in the scriptures, man. Let's get Revelation 13 real quick. Revelation chapter 13. And let's, there we go. Verse 7, it says, and it was given unto him. Now this chapter is speaking of Esau, Edom's power structure, which starts with the Greeks, all right, which is the leopard. And you can get that in Daniel the 7th chapter to get proof on that. Okay, but I'll get to the point. All right, because what was Alexander the Great and the Seleucid Empire and the Ptolemy Empire? What were they doing? They were slaying, man. They were known for rape, robbery, and murder, man. It got to a point where Alexander killed so many people that it wasn't no more people to kill, and he got murder, and he started crying, man. So you have been used. You are the one blessed with the sword, man. Okay, verse 7, and it was given unto him. All right, given. This power was given unto you. This is all due to prophecy, man. And we can sit here and question the Lord all we want. You so-called Negroes out there who turning your back on the Bible. Why would the Lord allow this, man? You still subject to it, man. This is his movie. And it was given unto him, Esau, Edom, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. So it's not because you're so intelligent or you're the highest functioning level of human being on the earth and your IQ is this and we're the... No, the reason you overcame us was because of prophecy, man. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And didn't he do that? And he destroyed them with the sword, man. What happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, man? Over 70,000 murdered, man. Just dropped a bomb. Okay, what happened with the Japhetic people, man? Over there in Australia, the Aborigines, just mass murder, and the British mass murdering over in Japan. Just mass murder of all of these different nations by the sword, but you justify it through pseudoscience, man. Okay? You're a damn liar, man. Okay? And all that dwell upon us. So after all of this, after he gets power to destroy every goddamn body, including the saints, which are the Israelites, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. Let's look up this word, worship. Oh, man.
Strong's G, 4352. Proskuneo. Proskuneo.
To kiss one's hands in token of reverence. Okay? Among the Orientals, and to fall upon the knees. That was an ancient custom. And this is what people do to you so-called white people, man. They worship you. They've worshipped you after all of the wickedness that you've done. People are have just always forgiven you. people have never really just stopped and said, well, damn, ain't this a pattern? But then when it comes to any other race, especially the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, there's stigmas put on them, man. That stick, that affect us in our everyday lives, man. And all that dwell upon the earth. See, if you can trust us with your children, but if you seen the so-called white man, you rather him have your children. And what would happen? He would molest them, do all sorts of rituals, and eventually sacrifice them, man. The so-called white man is a complete demon, man, and everybody worships him. After all of the wickedness he's done and is doing, people worship this nigga, man. But the people who worship him, names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world, man. So the elect are the only ones completely separating from him. Even our people who are waking up to a lot of his ways and putting these Instagram posts up, which that's a trap, and doing all of these different things, marching and wanting justice, they still worship him because they want his system to continue. When you talk about Esau falling, those same people don't want to talk about that. They'll march about Trayvon Martin, but then you start to say, well, you know, the Bible, this man isn't going to pay for this shit. You know, he's going to eventually go into captivity. Nah, that's too much. We can't do that. But R. Kelly goes to jail and they clap and say he belongs in jail. Which to hell with some goddamn R. Kelly. But it's just the point. How our people, anything they do, niggas are ready to look at it. You go and talk to a so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American about their own people, and they'll be all for it, man. They'll be all for it. But then you do that, have that same conversation about the so-called white man with them, and what do they do? They bitch up. They start talking about love, and you can't be like that. Why is that? Because of this covering cast that has been put over all people, this veil that has been spread over all of these nations, which is death. And he did that using this term white. That was a big part of that deception, man. Controlling the elements, controlling the air, using color. His scientists are just madmen who went and studied ways to destroy humanity and take control of the mind of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. He even studies your DNA. Organ harvesting. All of this madness that he's done, and nobody has looked at this nigga and said, wait a minute. Until now, because there's a spirit being put in the earth, man. So all that dwell up on the earth shall worship him after he conquers every goddamn body and beats your ass and poisons you, mocks you, celebrates mocking you. People worship him whose names are not written in the book of life. But if any man have an ear, let him hear. Take heed to what this is about to say. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patient and the faith of the saints. And how is that going to happen? Through Babylon the Great being destroyed, which is this beast, all right, that came up out of the earth right here, man. That's how that's going to be. You Edomites are going to be paid back, man. Okay? But people are starting to consider you devils, man. And that's a beautiful thing, man. As it says in Isaiah 14, is this the man? Now, this is when you ultimately fall. But it's that process is happening now, man. Okay? This is Isaiah chapter 14. And this is speaking of Lucifer, which ultimately, when you read this chapter, verse 4, that's 144, thou shalt take up this proverb, Isaiah 14:4, against the king of Babylon. So this chapter is speaking about the king of Babylon. How hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? And then it likens him unto Lucifer, which means the bearer of the light, man. And see, they deem their light to be the true light, but their light is darkness, man. All of the different things they use in their witchcraft has a righteous purpose, man. The frankincense, the myrrh, the different things of the earth, okay, the crystals, okay, the colors, all of these things have a purpose in righteousness, but they have used them for wickedness. Let's get Psalms 144. Psalms 144 and 11. Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children. And they're very strange people. You see, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you get up every day, and you so-called Mexicans, oh my goodness, man. You got so-called Mexicans complaining about, Trump needs to build a wall. So-called Negroes, Trump needs to build a wall. I agree with him on that. But this is their land, man. But then the so-called white man, you love him and smile and try to get a little. But I'll tell you this: there's some of our people that are starting to consider you damn crackers, man. And ultimately, you're gonna lose the battle, man. You think you finna use your media and all of these different things, which you're gonna forward in your purpose to a degree, but it's not gonna work overall, and the standard is gonna be lifted up, man. Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of falsehood. So their right hand, which is representative of their righteousness, is the right hand of falsehood, man. So that's what it means by Lucifer, man. It's not talking about, all right, a guy, all right, that was kicked out of the heavens. There's complete order in the heavens, man. All right, but we got lessons on that, man, if you want to get that breakdown. The point is this, all right, because it says, I will be like the Most High. All right, and the proof that this is talking about a man is this. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble and did it shake kingdoms? Speaking of a man, now what's this word consider? Because that's going to happen when you ultimately fall, but this is the beginning process of you sitting in that dust, man. O virgin daughter of Babylon. All right. Bayan, all right, bayan, to discern, to understand, to consider, to perceive, to discern, to understand, to observe, to have discernment. People are starting to look at Esau Edom and figure out that he's the goddamn devil, man. Just now in 2019, the term terrorist has been placed on these devils, man. Ain't that some shit? Hey, but it's prophecy. It's prophecy, man. It is absolute prophecy, man. Because he was reserved for the end to be absolutely exposed, man. Okay? Let's see where we're going to go next. Let's get Nahum chapter 3. So the reason he's doing all of this and, trying to link us to terrorism is because he knows that his time is up. And it's prophecy. It's prophecy that he's going to do these things. So we can't get too caught up and angry at it, but we do expose it. And you're going to be mad, the way Esau is. He's the devil. But ultimately, praise yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi for his word coming to pass. That's how you fight those emotions in the flesh, because it's prophecy. It had to happen. Okay? Nahum chapter 3, verse 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, man. Let's look at well-favored, man. Tawab, good, agreeable. People looked at you as good, pleasant, agreeable, excellent, rich in value, appropriate. They try to talk like you. Oh, to die for. The steak was robust. And all the bullshit you be talking about, man, on those cooking shows, man. Making yourself to seem as though you're a reasonable being, but then behind closed doors, you're a necrophilia, you drink blood, you rape children, you put gerbils up your ass, you have snuff films, you got the dark web. See, what's happening, Pizzagate, all of that, remember that was swept under the rug. The Catholic priest, that's always swept under the rug, but we're living in a time where that shit ain't gonna work. This time is gonna really be considered and put out on the forefront, man. And the Lord is using base men to do that, man. But he's gonna use people within your own system, people of your own kind, the other heathen nations, and they're gonna eventually destroy your ass, man, along with the chariots. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredom, and families through her witchcraft. And that word selleth means to buy people over to his idea. Makar, to sell oneself, to be given over to death. So all of these nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of the fornication of Babylon the Great and have been given over to death. But now they're starting to consider that, damn, we may be, winning, monetarily with this dude, but look what the position is putting our nation in. To hell, we're going to make our own deals. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And Esau's mad, man. And he's losing control of the narrative because of the internet. Okay? So the well-favored harlot is being exposed for the whore she is, man. A mistress of witchcrafts, man. Let's look up this word, witchcrafts. Okay? It says kasap, sorcery, witchcraft, man. Which is the doctrine of the serpent, man. Sorcery, use witchcraft, a sorceress. And that's what this whole system is set up on. The shape of the buildings. All right, you got concrete every goddamn where. We're supposed to be around minerals and soil, man. But it's fake grass. Okay, you got this goddamn concrete everywhere, in which I'm so lock it for my language, man. It's all the spirit though. All right, and goddamn ain't a bad word. Damn is in the Bible. Damn. All right. But you got, basically he's made the world into a cave, man. A wilderness, as the scriptures say in Isaiah 14. You've made the world into a wilderness, man. Okay? And now the nations are starting to consider you, man. And say, is this the man? Okay? That selleth nation through her witchcrafts. It says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. People are going to see the disease, the smell, the stench, and that you're really not pure, man. I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame, your sin, your wickedness. Everybody's looking over here like, ugh. You go over to Europe and they looking at America like the Edomites over there are worse than us, man. Okay, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and I will make thee vow, and I will set thee as a gazing stock. Never looked up this word. Eye, looking, appearance, seeing, sight, a spectacle. You the new, you always were the nigga, but you the new niggas, man. Okay, that whole thing that you put out about us, now people are considering about you, man. All right. So the wicked is being addressed by the Heavenly Father, man. Okay. Let's see, Jeremiah 51. Let's see. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hands that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. They're angry, man. Okay. They're like, what the F, man? Babylon is suddenly fallen, destroy her, howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed, man. And they're using all of this witchcraft to try to heal it and make it seem as though it's fair, and put dykes in front of you. All right, interviewing what's this rapper name? Interviewing T.I. and all these other celebrities, putting them in your face as leaders, man. And none of them talking about returning to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and keeping the laws, man. With faith, through faith in yahawashi. None of them. So the nations are angry, man, because the nations are going to be used as a tool to destroy this place. We would have healed Babylon. This place ain't going to be healed, man. This place is full of wickedness, man. And for you to say you believe in the Most High God and believe in the Bible, but want this to continue, you're absolutely out of your goddamn mind, man. There has to come something better for us, man. This is absolutely pathetic, man. It's time to live, man. To hell with death, man. That should be a shirt. To hell with death, man. All right. But she is not healed. Forsake her, and people are forsaking her, man. And let us go, every one, into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies, man. So there you go. For God hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. And what are we declaring? The work of the Lord our God in the form of him taking you Edomites down and exposing you, man. But all of the different nations are starting to separate from your ass, man. Even people in your own nation are separating from you. They understand and know that Babylon the Great is getting ready to be judged, man. So the wicked is being revealed, man. Okay? The wicked is being revealed, man. All right. And it's a beautiful thing, man. And it's funny to see you squirm around, all right, on the ropes, man. Psalms 52:3, pulling out all these goddamn statistics, man. Well, actually, black people, come on, man. The mass shootings that have happened in America have all been, for the most part, so-called white men. Come on, man. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness, man. Selah, because if Esau was righteous, he would just stop and say, you know what? I'm sorry. All right. Here's some form of reparations. You just print some money, give it, here's some form of reparations. All right. You Native Americans, we'll share this, part of the land. No, as a matter of fact, we'll give it back to you. And they would leave everybody the fuck alone and enjoy the riches that they have amassed. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, man. They're just going to lie and try to claw their way out of the destruction that's coming to them. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. You're a deceitful bastard, man. God shall likewise destroy thee forever, you Edomites. He shall take thee away and pluck thee out of the land, and shall pluck out of thy dwelling place and root thee out of the land of the living. He's going to take you out of the Middle East. All right. And utterly destroy your ass, man. And this is all via the Holy Scriptures, man. As the Scriptures say, and then shall that wicked be revealed, man, whom the Lord will destroy, all right, with the brightness of his coming, man. So you Edomites are being addressed. You're being put on the forefront for a reason. It is biblical prophecy. And it is beautiful to see you squirm around and try to figure out a way out of it. But as the Scriptures say, you're not going to go haughtily this time. Okay? Because this time is evil, man. Okay? You're not gonna wiggle your way out of this, man. Micah 2:3. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family, against you Edomites, do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks. You're not gonna remove your neck, man. You're not gonna get out of this one, Jack. Okay? You've been reserved for this time, and you're being addressed, man. My favorite scripture. I know y'all tired of me bringing it out. Job 21, or Job, hold up, Salaki. Job 21. And 30. That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction, he shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. So the wicked have been reserved. The Lord have pretty much kept them on a back burner, and their judgment is for this time. Okay, but our people don't understand that. Our people question why this, why that, but they don't want to align themselves with the ways of Yahawah, bahasham, yahawashi, man. And it's a beautiful movie the way it's playing out. You don't question Quentin Tarantino or none of the people who write the movies of this world, but you'll question the Lord's movie. All right. That the wicked is reserved unto the day of destruction. They shall be brought forth unto the day of wrath, which is near. Who shall declare his way to his face, and who shall repay him for what he have done? Okay, so I know it was all over the place, but ultimately the man of sin is being revealed. He's on the ropes. His pseudoscience is not working. He's coming out with all of these different articles and propaganda. And we know a lot of this is propaganda. We know what they're doing. And that's the point of the eye salve. We have the eye salve, man, that we can see through the madness and the trickery and deceit that Esau Edom is coming with, man. Okay? Because that covering cast is deep, man. Even now, we still coming out of some of those lies and thoughts that we had. Like when I did the video on Tupac, some brothers got shook up, but it's true. That was a psyop, man. That was, I mean, although these people have talent, but they're used by Esau Edom to deceive and pull you away from your power, man. But it sounds good in the flesh. See, he has mastered how to deceive the flesh, man, especially the flesh of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Okay? All right. I'll finish here. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, man. All right. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Okay. Lying wonders. Pseudoscience. Intentional falsehood. Okay. Intentional falsehood. And he's getting ready to link us to terrorism, brothers. So prepare your souls, continue to fight. Hey, and we say, as we gonna continue to say, make your move. Stop doing all this bullshit and get on your job, boy. Make your move so the Lord can make his. Shalom.